When a patient needs a blood transfusion, it takes time to determine their blood type. While they wait, doctors have to rely on universal type O blood, which is in constant short supply and should be reserved for true emergencies. As a hematologist who regularly sees patients, Bloodworks Research Institute's Dr. Jill Johnsen had always just accepted the way blood typing was done.
The problem is that blood typing is around 100-year-old technology. It's taking blood and you're putting it together with plasma or serum or antibodies, and you're saying, does this clump or not clump? And that's what you use to figure out someone's blood type. And it takes a long time, and it takes a large blood volume, and it has to be done in specialized labs. All of that adds time between when I wish they had their blood type and when I actually know it. And I had gotten used to that. I had just really gotten used to the idea that we needed to have a universal donor at all. We need the universal donor because we don't know the blood type.
That is until one fateful day over a decade ago when Jill met Dr. Dan Ratner, a bioengineer at the University of Washington. Jill and Dan put an idea into motion that is set to transform transfusions. It's rapid, near-patient blood typing on a silicon chip.
The idea for this technology started in a conference room in the middle of the week where Dan and I and some other scientists were sitting there, and we were talking about how can we collaborate together on this new technology that he had and some biology that I studied. And it was a thunderbolt moment where someone in the room said, can this thing be a blood cell?
In defining whether you're an A or a B, AB or O, these are actually sugars. And so Jill and I both had interest in sugars. We were making technologies in my lab at the University of Washington to look at the relationship between different cells and these sugars. And so the translation into the space of blood group typing was really natural and frankly organic. And for me, the most exciting thing in working with Jill was getting to peek behind the curtain at all this involved in actually safely giving patients blood products. It's an amazing endeavor. It's complicated, it's hard work, and it's critical to the backbone of emergency medicine.
Jill and Dan took advantage of a well-used technology from the telecom industry to develop their blood typing chip. By flowing a small sample of blood over tiny sensors, they found that it was possible to quickly, easily, and inexpensively determine a patient's blood type.
So the technology that Jill and I are developing is based on something called silicon nanophotonics. Now this is actually, it sounds fancier than it really is. What it is just like the microchip that's in your computer, in your cell phone, but it does one thing key that's different. It uses light as opposed to electrons. And so by putting the right chemistry on these photonic circuits, we can ask questions about what molecules are present in a sample. Or in the case of blood typing, we can ask, for instance, does the patient have an antibody in circulation that might react with a specific blood type? Or do they have a specific blood type on their cells?
With results returned in minutes instead of hours, their invention will allow doctors to better utilize our blood supply, conserving type O blood for the patients who really need it.
Not having to rely on universal donors so much would be transformative to the blood supply. The whole blood supply is oriented around making sure we don't run out of this one precious thing, which is actually a kind of not common blood type. And we would be able to manage inventories in a way where the rare units are being reserved for the people that really need it.
I think in our case, when working with Jill and myself, what was so exciting was having an opportunity to look at something that we all take for granted and to see the opportunity to make it better.
Today, Jill and Dan's invention is the basis of a new company known as SiDx, who are setting out to modernize blood testing. SiDx was co-founded by Jill, Dan, and entrepreneur Eric Larson.
SiDx is a medical diagnostic company developing rapid blood typing technology where we expect to be able to get a blood type back on a patient in about 5 minutes.
What our technology will allow us to actually have an instrument very close to the patient where they can put a sample into the instrument, get a blood type back much more quickly, which will mean they can move to type-specific blood much more quickly.
CEO Eric Larson envisions SiDx instruments in every doctor's office and hospital in the future, with portable versions saving lives in military settings and during natural disasters.
We have 64 different sensing areas on our chips today, so we can detect multiple different conditions simultaneously with the same sample. And that's really unique among the diagnostics that I see today.
You can imagine in disaster relief or in military indications where you might want to screen donors very quickly to try to add to the blood supply, or in prenatal care where you might want to get both a patient's blood type and information on what diseases they might have been exposed to.
Dr. Johnsen recognizes that SiDx would never have come to be if she wasn't a researcher at Bloodworks.
I would never have thought, or the other scientists in the room who were really critical, none of us would have thought to say, we're having this conversation about detecting viruses and bacteria, to say, I know in the back of my mind that blood typing is a problem, and can you see a blood cell? Like, that connection would just never have been made if the scientists had not been in a blood center.